Hey, it's Alex here, and welcome to this lesson on starting your auto locksmith business. So this really is where the rubber meets the road. So if you've been watching along so far, we've talked all about the practical side of becoming an auto locksmith. You know, how to get yourself set up, the legal requirements, what equipment you need. And if you haven't followed any of those lessons so far, you can get the full free course in the link in the description. So what we're going to be talking about from now on is actually getting customers and building a real business, because it's all good and fun picking locks and becoming obsessed with the tech side of things, but without getting customers and without the marketing, you really don't have a business. You just have an expensive hobby. Okay, and that's not what I want for you. I obviously want you to generate a very decent income from doing this. Otherwise, like I said, you're just going to be sat in your bedroom picking locks when you really want to be out there, kicking ass and taking names. So let's get on with the lesson introduction. So what we're going to talk about in this is building a brand and scaling. So choosing between a mobile or a shop-based locksmith business, how to set up a fully equipped van for mobile locksmithing, branding and marketing strategies to get customers fast, pricing your services for maximum profit. Okay, so by the end of this lesson, you'll create a simple business plan to start your journey. So let's get into it. So choosing your business model, so mobile versus shop based. Okay, so if you're just starting out right now, you might be thinking, do I need a shop? So there's pros and cons to both being a mobile locksmith and a shop-based business, and we'll look at those both now. So option one is a mobile auto locksmith business. So that means working from your vehicle and attending customers. Obviously, there's lower startup costs here because you won't have many overheads. You won't have to rent a shop, and you won't have store expenses. You won't have to pay any extra staff to manage that shop, to clean the shop, to keep the lights on in that shop. There's many expenses that come along with running a shop. So also, if you're mobile, you'll have more flexibility because you can go where the customers need you. And if you've got a shop, you need to keep in mind that if you're getting emergency jobs, you'll need to lock the shop up and go and attend those jobs. Obviously, if you have somebody else working with you, a business partner, they could manage the shop while the other person goes out and attends the jobs. So there's faster response times because if you're out on the road already, you know, you're ready to go and you're literally going from one job to the other. Now, this is better for emergency services. So obviously the lost car key replacements and lockouts. Now let's look at a shop-based locksmith. So it does give you more credibility. So if you're actually, if you've got a brick and mortar business, people instantly build more trust with you, and you will eventually get more customers that way just because people are going to start to get familiar. They're going to keep walking past your shop. They're going to see you. You know, you're not just a fly-by-night locksmith. So it does build more trust because nowadays it's very easy for people to set themselves up as a locksmith. So there's a lot of dodgy characters in the game. So it's hard for customers to figure out who's legit. So you can also offer additional services. So having a shop-based business is good for key duplication. So we've talked about this in a previous lesson. When you've got a fixed shop location, people can come to you and you can duplicate keys at a good profit because you're not having to go out. You're not using any fuel to get to the jobs. It's not time consuming because it's not taking you like an hour round trip to get to do a key duplication. Whereas with shop based, it's quite good for key duplication. So if that's more your thing, then a shop based business would be better for you because you could literally have customers lining up to do key duplication. But just remember that will limit you to just key duplication. So it's better for high-end dealership work. I mean, like coming back to the credibility side of things, if you have got a shop, it does give you that more credibility, and people are likely to create accounts with you rather than if you're just a mobile. But it's still totally possible being totally mobile. And it obviously requires a higher initial investment up front. So my advice, if you're just starting out, is to definitely just be a mobile auto locksmith business. And in fact, that's really the beauty of this business, because you don't have those, those overheads. You don't have to clock in at 9 o'clock every morning. And, really, once you've got a job, once you've got a shop, it's really just like going back to a 9 to 5 job, because you need to stay open. If you're constantly closing the shop or turning up late, people are just not going to go to your shop. So if you're more of a person who likes routine and likes to be in one place, at a certain time every day, you're quite organized in that sense, then a shop would be good for you. But really, for me, the beauty of this is being totally mobile. And, sometimes I travel to different cities in the UK, and I can even pick up jobs in those cities just by simply running Google Ads. So I can target Google Ads in certain cities and pick up jobs even while I'm on holiday, and it can often pay for the holiday. You could still do that with the shop-based business if you're also mobile, but just keep those pros and cons in mind. My advice is just to stay fully mobile, unless you've got plans on expanding, you want to build a team, all that kind of stuff. So many successful locksmiths do start off mobile and then transition into a shop once they grow. So that this way you've actually got the investment to put into your rent, your utilities and furniture. So that could be one good route for you. So setting up a mobile locksmith van. So some key features are an inverter. So what I use is a split charge relay for my battery power system. So you're going to need this for generating your key cutting machines, your extra lights in the back. All of that's going to need to be powered. So you don't want to be running off a generator or running extension cables out from houses and things like that. You definitely need to be able to power your machines in the back of your vehicle. Now, right now, you might be thinking you don't have a van, you've only got a car. Now, I've seen people do this in a car. It's totally possible. It's just going to be more uncomfortable, especially in the bad weather. If you're running out the trunk or the boot of your car, you're standing out in the open air while you're cutting keys and things, it's going to be less comfortable. Obviously, a van's going to be much more efficient. So you need to think about staying organized. You want to have your benches set out, a nice chair in there, drawers to keep your equipment, and obviously security and GPS to protect your equipment. So really, the thing about auto locksmithing is you do become a target, because obviously you've got very expensive equipment in your vehicle, and people are going to want to try and access that. So the best way to prevent that is by fitting additional deadlocks to your vehicle, and obviously having that GPS tracking on your vehicle in case your vehicle gets stolen. And then extra lighting in the back for taking on these jobs is pretty vital, because you need to be able to see. Obviously, you'll be working late nights and things like that. So we've been through the equipment in a previous lesson. Like I said, if you want to get the full free course, the link's in the description. But we talked about the key cutting machine, the transponder programmer, Lishi tools, the diagnostic scanner. And remember to keep your van organized, because time wasted searching for tools is lost profits. So let's talk about running an inverter for your mobile locksmith van. So like I said, I use a split charge relay. And the way that works is you have your main battery to your vehicle, which is already there. And then you introduce a secondary battery, which is going to run your machines. Now, what happens is when the vehicle is in motion, the split charge relay, the inverter is actually going to charge that additional battery, and so you won't ever need to like charge it manually. It will just charge for you, and then obviously your inverter, you will plug your machines in from there. But what I don't recommend, if you've got no experience with electronics, then don't do this yourself. I certainly didn't do this. I just simply hired an electrician, and they done this all for me for about £150, which is like less than $200, I believe. So it's really worth getting this done properly. And obviously you want all your wiring to be done nicely. You don't want wires exposed and things like that, or your battery exposed. It could be pretty dangerous. So I recommend just hire an expert. So like I said, these are going to power your machines, your laptops and your lights. You can work from anywhere without a generator. It saves you money on fuel and maintenance costs, because believe me, I've seen auto locksmiths go out to a job and then get the customers, decode the car, then go back to their shop, cut the key, then go back, or even their house, to cut the key, then go back out. This is not only costing a lot of time, but also fuel and maintenance. So it's better to do the job roadside. So just some recommendations here is the pure sine wave inverter. You want to have at least around 2,000 watts. And like I said, the deep cycle battery, where it will just charge as you drive the vehicle. And then the solar panel option, obviously, is if you wanted to reduce reliance on vehicle battery, but I don't really recommend that. I recommend keeping it all in this split charge relay. So remember to test your inverter before taking on jobs as well. Make sure it's all working nicely. So now let's get into branding and marketing, how to get customers fast. So if you build a strong brand for your locksmith business, you're going to sort of stand the test of time. You're going to be more memorable. So choose a memorable business name. Now, when I say this, I don't want you to get wrapped up in this stage of your business. Some people can spend months deciding on a business name when really, people don't really care. In all honesty, they're going to pick up the phone. They're going to just want to know how quickly you can be there and how much it's going to cost. That's going to be their two main concerns. So having a business name is great for branding. It's great if you can pick something memorable. I remember that there's, for example, in my hometown, there's a female locksmith, and she calls herself Lady Locksmith. And everywhere you see her van's bright pink, and it goes all around the streets, and it really stands out. Now, people are going to remember that. So just keep that in mind when it comes to your branding. The more memorable you can be. So what you're trying to achieve here is that if let's say your name is Stephen and you call yourself Stephen's Locksmiths, people are really not going to remember that unless you've met them several times or whatever. If your van's just going along, not many people are going to remember that. Whereas if you call yourself, let's say, I don't know, something crazy like Banana Locksmiths or something, and your van's bright yellow, which I probably don't recommend that, but if you catch my drift, it's more memorable. And then when it comes to creating a logo, people also get caught up on that. You can create a logo really easily these days. And then your vehicle wrap. Now, wrapping your vehicle or sign writing your vehicle is totally optional, and it's a bit of a catch-22, the sign writing the vehicle, because if you do this, your van's going to become a target for people. If you're in a high crime area and you've got your van sign written, people are going to know you've got expensive equipment in there, and then your vehicle will be a target. Now, even if you've got these additional deadlocks fitted to your van, people will still attempt. So they'll bend the door open, They might attack the lock, which is still going to cost you money anyway. So I prefer keeping the van incognito. This way, I've actually found as well that some customers prefer it, because let's say they've lost their vehicle keys. Sometimes it's an embarrassment for a customer, so they feel embarrassed and shameful for losing their key. And then you've got this big locksmith van turning up. All their neighbours are looking out the window, having a good laugh to themselves. And that can often put the customer in a position where they don't want to be. So having an incognito van sometimes can serve you. Other times, people might say, "Oh, you don't look like a locksmith. Can I see your ID?" Things like that. So it is really optional. Maybe just decide on what's best for you. And then obviously your branding, your uniform. This is good for trust and recognition. Plus, it's just easier when you just have to wear the same thing every day. And it doesn't matter if it gets dirty or oil on it. It's just easier to have uniform. So let's talk about where to get customers fast. So obviously your website is going to be vital in auto locksmithing. Now, this is a step that most people neglect or sometimes even ignore. Now, I'll tell you a story about once I attended a locksmith convention, and there was there was like 9 of these locksmiths who all attended this convention, and they were all starting out at the same sort of time. Okay, now a few of them were super focused on the marketing, and then like 3 of them were focused on the marketing, and the rest of them didn't bother. They were more focused on the equipment, what tools to buy and all that kind of stuff. Can they program this car and that car? That's all they cared about. And then I attended the same convention the following year, and I met, this time there wasn't 9 locksmiths, there was only 3. And they told me that the other 6 had actually given up because they didn't get any work. And these 3 guys who were actually really focused on the marketing were still going very strong. In fact, they were doing very well. So your website is like your first port of call. It should be something you do before anything, because if you're not found on Google, you literally don't exist. So some other ways to get customers fast is you Google My Business. So this will help you get found in the maps listing. Google Ads. Now this is if you want to invest in to get customers straight away. You can just run a Google ad that will have your website land at the very top of the search results. And you can partner with companies such as tow companies and mechanics that need your services. And you can offer fleet key services. So remember, a highly optimized website can flood your business with calls. So in fact, while we're here, I want to show you an example of a high converting locksmith website. So just so you can get an idea about what you actually need to really run this type of business. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over just here, and I'm going to show you an example of a high converting website. So as you can see here, this is just like a demo website I've set up, but a lot of people get this wrong. So they'll have this, normally they'll have this part full of text all about them, how long they've been in the locksmith industry, blah, blah, blah. But they won't have these strong call to action buttons. So these should be clickable on a mobile, and it should call out their problem straight away. So they should land on your website and know exactly what it's about within a split second. You should have a clear call to action. I could have done this a lot better, but this is just an example I put together for this lesson. As you can see, I didn't even fill in this part. But this is just to give you an example of the layout, which is clean, fast loading, and it also looks really good on a mobile. So this is a mobile view. And again, these buttons are clickable on a mobile, as you can see there. And this is just designed to get customers. And if they were to click on the contact, they could either fill out a form or just call us directly from there. So this is like vital when it comes, because it's all good having a locksmith website, but if it's not optimized for conversions, then it's not really going to do you any good. So that's just something to keep in mind. Now, we actually build these locksmith websites for locksmiths, so we can actually give you a locksmith website that's exactly like this. And what I'll do is I'll put a link in the description where you can get a free demo version. So it will have your company name on it. It will have your company details, such as your mobile phone number, and it will be optimized for your area as well. So that's totally free. And as you can see, this is like a 60-page website. This is not a flimsy website. And although you can see residential, commercial, and auto here, these pages can be hidden. So if you only want to offer auto services, you can hide these services and just have it purely focused on automotive. Now, let's say when it comes to editing this site, you're not very techy. Well, let me show you the editor. This is the back end of the website, and this is how easy it is to edit. So let's say I wanted to change this headline. I'll just click on it and say locked out of car, for example. That's how quickly and easily it is to edit that. Now, let's say this background image, I didn't like it because obviously they're working on a house lock there. It's not very, focused on auto. So I'd literally click on that, and then I'll click on edit design. Now, what's great about this is we have a load of stock image in here. Okay, so all these stock images are free for you to use. So now we want to make it more auto focused. So we're going to click on that. And now straight away, I don't love that picture, so I'm going to change it again, maybe to this one. Okay, so this shows someone happy holding their car keys. That's what the customer wants. So that's how easy it is to edit this site. And then all you would do is you would connect your own domain here. So you would go site domain and connect your domain. So it's literally that simple to get a website up and running in minutes. And this would be optimized for your area. So now let's talk about pricing your services and maximizing profits. So how to price your locksmith services. So the best way to do this is check competitor prices. So you could just ring up all your local locksmiths, auto locksmiths, and say, I've lost my car key. How much do you charge? Now, a lot of people are not comfortable doing that because they feel like it's dishonest. But that information is freely, like they're offering a service, and you're within your rights to know how much they how much they charge for that service. So maybe in the future you might use this company. You might want to send customers their way. So you could either be honest when you call your competitors and say, look, I'm starting up a business. I just want to get a feel for your prices to make sure that I don't step on anyone's toes, or to make sure I'm not undercutting you. And they'll probably respect you for that. And you may even build a long-term relationship with that locksmith at the same time. And then they'll pass you work, you can pass them work. And it's a really good way to get your foot in the door, so to speak. And yeah, I think that's a great way forward. If you'd rather do it the stealth method and just pretend you're a customer, you could even get a friend or family member to call your competitors and find out prices. So remember, you can always charge more for emergency service calls. Now, I've talked about this in a previous lesson, but you will find in this industry, none of the jobs feel convenient. So you might sit down to dinner one night. You've just spent an hour cooking your favorite meal. You sit down and your phone rings. Now, it's entirely up to you what you charge for that job. So let's say you didn't want to go to that job because you're looking forward to eating this meal. you might say, okay, I'm just going to quote a really high price in the hope that they say no. Now, a lot of people get really hung up on this, and they're like, oh, isn't this just ripping people off? What I think's a lot worse is charging too little. So if you were to say, oh, I'll do it for 50 bucks, 50 quid or whatever, that's a lot worse than charging a really high amount. The reason for that is because you're driving the prices down. It's a race to the bottom, and you can go up infinitely, but you can only go down till zero. So once it starts going to below 50 quid, $50, whatever, and then you can only go down from there. And in the end, you're working for free. So by quoting high, people get really hung up on the ethics of this, but really remember that you're doing your customer, you're saving them a lot of money by going back to their dealership. So if you don't fancy that job, you can quote high for it, hoping that they say no. Probably sod's law, they'll say yes, in which case you don't mind because you're going to make a really good amount of money out of it. So remember, you can also bundle your services. So you can offer key cutting programming for higher ticket sales. And I've heard of people creating membership plans where it's almost like an insurance for the customer. So you can offer them, say $20 a month, and they can call you anytime, that kind of thing. It's not something I've ever done, but I know it exists. So here's just an example of a profitable price list. So a simple car unlocking, which you do with a Lishy pick, should take you no more than, say, 20 minutes, between 80 and 150. Transponder key programming between 150 and 300. That's just for your duplicate. Same thing for the laser cut, roughly. And then your lost car key replacement can be, I've put that on the high end, like the lower end could be like 150 to 500. So another tip is to offer house lock replacement for extra profit. So what that means is when customers lose their keys, let's say they've lost their bunch of keys and they call you out to replace their car key, often their house keys are on the same bunch. So you can offer an upsell right there and say, look, did you lose your house keys on the same bunch? That could be a breach of your security. I can change all your house locks while I'm here, and it would save you an additional call out charge. This way you can really maximize your profits. So that brings us on to upselling and increasing your revenue. So remember to always offer a second key at a discount. So I'm just as much. I do this myself. Basically, I'll replace someone's key and I'll forget to offer them the second key at a discount. Now I'm totally admit that I do this. I forget, but you're leaving so much money on the table because you can actually say to them, look, if you lose this only key again, then you're going to be back in the same position. So let me offer you an additional spare. So key fob upgrade. So offer high quality fobs for better profit. So often you might go out there and cut them an out of market key, and you could say, look, I can order you the original key from the dealership or obviously from your supplier. It will take a couple of days to arrive, but it's be nice to have an original key, and a lot of times people say yes for that. You could advise on better car security, and you could offer dealership packages for bulk key services. So I've also talked about this. Rather than constantly going out to car dealerships to offer duplicates and so on at different occasions, you could say, look, if you bulk it to 5 keys or 10 keys, I'll give you a bulk discount, which saves you many round trips as well. So an example of an upsell, so a customer needs 1 car key replaced, you offer the spare key at 50% off, and that's more money on the job. Remember, customers hate getting locked out, so always recommend a backup key. And like I said, I'm always forgetting to do this myself, but it's leaving so much money on the table. So here's an exercise for this lesson to write down your business model, pricing and services. Will you be mobile or shop-based? What services will you offer? How will you market your business? Remember, you can get that free demo website in the link in the description. What will your pricing strategy be? And what tools and setup do you need? So your goal for this is to have a clear roadmap for launching your auto locksmith business successfully. So let's give you a quick summary on what we've learned in this lesson. So we talked about choosing the business model, the mobile versus shop, how to set your van up properly with the inverter, your workspace and security of the van, branding your business and having a strong online presence to get more customers, and pricing your services strategically and offer upsells to increase profits. So in the next lesson, we're going to talk about customer service and sales strategies. That might not sound like an exciting lesson, but this could be literally hundreds of thousands of extra revenue to your business. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, grab the full course in the link in the description, and I'll see you in the next lesson.